controversial stuff on this show all the time. And sometimes I do a little commentary too, and that can be dangerous. You know, people nowadays are just waiting for you to slip up so they can hit share and explain why you should be fired and ruined and all that stuff. Our regular viewers know that I walk that tightrope pretty often. So whenever I take an unannounced day off, like I did on Tuesday, people always think that I've been canned. When I came back on the air yesterday, Dick wrote, "Hey Dan, nice to see you back on the air. I was fearing you got recalled." I was off because I'm a dad and I was off doing dad stuff, but I understand why you might think that, because Oregon really likes recalls. Some could say that we love them. And from that love, we created a new segment called Recall Roundup. Yeehaw! Oregon voters have tried to recall at least 14 people since the start of the pandemic. Is that a lot? Well, I don't know. It feels like a lot. Then again, Oregon tried to recall at least 20 people in 2016 alone, and that was well before the country was completely insane, but we don't have time to talk about that, so let's just deal with the now. Here's the list from 2021 alone, and I'll be honest, I had to Google a few of these. For instance, who is Tammy Stemple, the second name down on the list? Well, it turns out she's the mayor of Gladstone, a town of about 12,000 people in Clackamas County. She's accused of corruption, which is ironic since she was elected in 2017 by running on a campaign to clean up this town after Gladstone recalled 2 city council people accused of, you guessed it, corruption. It's like a mini Chicago down there. You should recognize, though, the names, the other ones that we have on the list here. People, for instance, are still trying to recall Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler, even though he just won re-election, which I think serves as a pretty accurate bit of polling research for anyone wondering if a recall effort is viable. Then there's Fred Girard and Lynn Finley, 2 state Republicans who got in trouble with some of their base when they decided to vote on a guns bill. They voted no on the guns bill, but people thought that they actually should have staged a walkout instead. So let's recall Ann Lindsay Bershower, a Republican commissioner in Yamhill County, after her stances on some of our favorite talking points like masks and lockdowns and guns and vaccines and all that stuff. See, right now, all of those recalls are in the signature phase. And if people can get enough signatures, and each case kind of requires a different amount of signatures, then we can see an actual recall election. This is what just happened in California with Governor Gavin Newsom. People didn't like the way he handled the pandemic. Yes, I know I'm oversimplifying that, but they collected 1.5 million signatures to boot him out of Sacramento. 1.5 million to spur that recall election. And for a while, it looked like he may actually lose his job. I mean, just ask Twitter or ask the media in general. Newsom got flayed in the media when he pulled the ultimate out-of-touch rich guy hypocrite move when last November he dined out with 11 friends and lobbyists at one of the country's most expensive restaurants, while at the same time pleading with Californians to stay home. It was the worst of bad looks, and social media went nuts. But at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. People didn't actually care, or at least the way that social media made us believe that they actually cared. The recall failed miserably, and he kept his job easily, despite the anger that was retweeted on Twitter and the disdain shared on Facebook, proving once again that being ratioed isn't the same as being recalled. Take Tootie Smith and Mark Shaw, commissioners in Clackamas County. Both have said controversial things. Shaw posted flat-out racist things on Facebook, and the internet went nuts about it. We talked about it on this show more times than I can count. Citizens have threatened to organize recalls against both of them, and both have really gone nowhere. Or Mayor Wheeler, let's go back to him. He gets skewered every time he says or does anything, with a recall effort that is growing every day online, but completely stalling in the physical world. At last check, they don't have anywhere close to the number of signatures that they would need for a recall election. So, to all these social media activists out there, don't put too much stock in the share button. Twitter outrage is often justified, i.e. Newsom at French Laundry, but it never seems to carry the weight it pretends to scale. Kind of a paper tiger made of ones and zeros. So for anyone out there who's passionate about something, look at the facts. It takes more than a tweet.